Welcome to episode 2 of the 411, folks. My name is Scott, and I'm here with Jake.
Everybody.
Today is the 27th of February 2016. Jake, we're recording on Pokemon's 20th anniversary. Happy birthday to Pokemon.
It's a big day.
Very big day. It's currently nearly 9 o'clock at night. 2 a.m. was the Pokemon announcement of Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Did you stay up for that?
I didn't, but I did catch up for it when I woke up in the morning. And to be honest, I'm a little glad I didn't stay up for it, considering it was only 6 minutes or something.
So yeah, you were right. It was short. We had a bit of an argument.
Yes, I was.
Last episode?
It wasn't 5 minutes.
No,
it was
6 minutes. Yeah, but half of that was also talking about the Pokemon Yellow, Red, and Blue. We only saw a clip, not even that, of the new games. It was just sort of drawings and
people have taken a few screenshots from it. They have there's artist conceptions of it, and you saw a flash of the new Pokemon Center and cars, I believe.
Cars, yeah. And that's when I was talking about the new game mechanic that I thought they were sort of taking a while to develop. I think that's going to be the cars. I think you can... there's something to do with the cars. There was a lot of car designs, trucks, ambulances, all that kind of stuff. So there's something in there to do with that. Also, the feeling that I got from seeing just some of those pictures was that... are we in agreement that this is a new region and a new lot of Pokemon? This is Gen 7?
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't think they've actively said it was, but...
Yeah. But, I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, I think this region's very tropical.
Okay.
If you saw sort of that main picture they had, that big picture, it looks like sort of a gym, a water gym.
Yeah.
It had the fountains, had the tropical trees there. And also, it showed the Pokemon Center.
Yeah.
It sort of resembled a kind of a hut-looking thing, like a tropical hut thing. Just the feeling I'm getting is this place is going to be tropical.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, the towns, I believe, ever since Black and White and X and Y, I haven't really found myself connecting with the region as much as I have been in the past. And that's more and more because they've been basing their regions off real-world cities.
Yeah.
For
What
example,
was Black and White based on?
Paris. Or
No,
France.
that was X and Y.
Oh, what'd you say? Black and White?
Yeah, Black and White.
Not exactly sure on that. Maybe it was just X and Y they were basing it off.
But yeah, that was definitely Paris, and I really didn't like the map in X and Y.
I struggled with that a lot. So if this is a big new change, something more colourful, more dynamic, as you say, maybe a tropical vibe, I'm pretty excited for that.
A Pokemon game with a tropical setting is going to look amazing.
Yeah.
As well, after Pokemon X, Y, and Z, the anime finishes up this year. They're going to have to start the new Pokemon anime, and if it's going to be set in a tropical setting, that's going to look amazing as well.
I mean, as close as they've come to a tropical setting is pretty much towards the beginning of the Pokemon anime series when they did the
Orange Islands.
Yep. They were pretty tropical. They were some of my favourite episodes in there.
There was every episode they started off on Lapras, sailing to the next island.
Yeah.
They were good episodes. With Tracy in that one instead of Brock.
So, maybe they're trying to bring back some of those memories. And it is the 20th anniversary of Pokemon. Maybe they're trying to dig deep into their roots. And,
well, who knows what these games will sort of turn into. This could be just a one-off season where Ash and his friends go to a place like Orange Islands. Mm-hmm. So these games just could sort of, invigorate that kind of thing for the anime.
Yeah.
And then we'll see sort of later games for that. But not much information was given to us, so we can't really speculate a lot on it. Okay, so in honor of Pokemon's 20th anniversary, we are recording on the 27th, so I thought it would be good to do something nostalgic, because we love our nostalgia here at the 411, folks.
Right.
We each need to pick a gaming moment from the past, a Pokemon gaming moment from the past. I'll go first. One of my favorite gaming moments from Pokemon from the past was when I was about, I think I was about 9 or 10. I'd wake up early before anyone else, probably maybe 5 o'clock. Um, I'd sneak out to the TV room, turn on the Nintendo 64, Pokemon Stadium comes up, and then because you could play Pokemon Yellow on the Pokemon Stadium, you could port it over. And yeah, I'd play that for a couple of hours before anyone would even wake up. Those were the days where I could play Pokemon Yellow on the big screen TV.
It's I can't believe we actually, between the four of us growing up, we shared one Pokemon game, and we didn't. We
Yeah.
each saw each other through that progress
yeah.
in one game, and it was a long haul.
We barely got through a lot of it, I think.
How? I mean, what were we doing?
We were training a lot. I think we were just still so into the anime that just training Pokemon was fun enough for us. We didn't really need to get a lot through.
Yeah, it's funny how just my patience for games had just worn so thin. Back then, we could grind in Pokemon for hours upon end, for days, and not get tired of it. Yet now I need to be a bit more stimulated. With it all, I guess.
I've just downloaded Pokemon Yellow. I've played about 2.5 hours of that now, and it's a game where you do need a grind. The newer Pokemon games, you can sort of get away with not sort of training all the time and grinding, but the earlier games, you do need to sort of train your Pokemon to do the next battle, to get through the next area, and yeah, it's it's not as sort of fun as all the fun that I had with it. It's not the same.
Yeah, I think we'll be talking more about those Pokemon games later in the episode, but first thing, I played it only about an hour and a half so far, and there are obvious things in the series, the later things in the series that you just miss straight away. One of them is that XP bar for each Pokemon.
Yeah.
God, I need that.
You can go into the menu and check your Pokemon. It'll say how much experience points you need to get to the next level, but yeah. Another thing I thought of that was the text speed. You need to go into the options to turn it up.
Oh, okay.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so slow. And especially when you go into the Pokemon Center every 5 minutes trying to heal your Pokemon because you're training them up. That's joy. Hurry up. So do you want to share a gaming moment?
Yeah. I think my most beloved Pokemon game would have to be Pokemon Diamond, and I've sunk maybe, I think it was 160 or something hours into that file. 140?
I thought it was over 200 from what I remember.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't think it was that much. Anyway, a lot of hours. And I'd say a good fraction of those hours came from, there was this one segment in the game where you could just go underground and mine. Do you remember this part? It was a totally side offer to the game. You can do it with friends, or you can do it alone, but you pretty much had to do it with friends. So the basis of it is that you mine underground, and there's this big maze sort of structure-like map, massive, and you build secret bases in there, and you go down there with up to 3 friends, I think. And I did that for a good weekend with 2 of my friends, and all you pretty much do is that you have it's pretty much capture flag slash tag kind of thing. You go into each other, you try and steal the person's flag from their base, put it into yours, and that was pretty much it. I can't really remember what kind of reward you get from stealing the flag or any kind of benefits you get from it. It was just a whole lot of fun because all 3 of us were sitting in the same room, connected through Wi-Fi or whatever, playing on the same map. And it was just this massive chase of tag through this underground structure in Pokemon. There was no Pokemon battles. This was a totally one-off kind of thing, and in no other Pokemon game has this ever shown up before.
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, and
I've never even knew this was a part of a Pokemon game.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so unorthodox and so different. Yeah. So
they've never done this in another Pokemon game?
No, I don't believe so. But I don't know, that really made me love that game, especially, and it was pretty much one of the I don't know. I probably sunk 30 hours just into that
Into
part,
that one, yeah.
because we were just having so much
It was
fun.
just
as
all
a-
multiplayer.
Yeah,
that bit,
yeah. It was just such a fun collective thing in the Pokemon universe that yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget that. So good.
Well, we might come back to Pokemon later on. We've got to tackle some of these news topics for the week. I've written down a few, just a few that I found interesting. The first one, Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 have been announced to come out for Xbox One and PS4 this year. Not as a bundle, just individually. These ones I don't think are getting a remaster like the original Resident Evil did, but they are coming out on the new consoles so you can play them. Jake, does this interest you?
No. I recently just got Resident Evil 4 on my Wii U. I've been playing that quite a bit. Towards the start of the year, I think I got it, and I enjoy that. But
Is it the first Resident Evil you played?
I think
Well,
so.
You played one on the Wii, didn't you? Is it
Oh,
Raccoon City?
The Umbrella
Yeah.
Chronicles. That was kind of like a point and shoot kind of
Oh, okay.
arcade style one. But this is, I remember playing Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube when we had the GameCube. That's
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's what made me get this one too. But
Yeah.
you know, it's not my favorite game series. I enjoy 4, but seeing the direction the franchise has gone with in number 5 and 6, a more action orientated direction, it just doesn't interest me in the slightest.
So, because I have heard 4 is one of the better ones.
Mhm.
Isn't it? Yeah. So Resident Evil 1 was remastered and that came out last year. I've always just been so tempted just to get that game. It's $26 on the Xbox store.
Yeah.
But every time I watch gameplay from it, I don't know if I'm going to have the patience with those controls.
I'm telling you now, you'll never pick it up. You'll play it once and you'll just never pick it up.
Just the aiming, it just looks awkward.
Yeah.
And I do want to play it though. Like just little things that I see in the game, like when you sort of go around and find these items and then it just shows the whole picture of that item. It's that old school horror game.
Yeah.
That I really like, and but yeah, I don't know if I'd get into it too much.
Okay. Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 is also getting remastered, and that's coming out this year sometime. So that means we'll have number 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 all available to play on the new consoles, leaving 3 unannounced.
Yeah. I tell you what, because Capcom do these Resident Evil games.
Yeah.
And what's the deal with them? They hardly make any new games anymore. It's just re-release for them. Yeah, they must be making. This is just how they must be making their money now, I suppose.
Well, people buy them.
Yeah.
Because they are some good games.
They're just banking on the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
And I don't think they can capitalize on the series' big roots that they just. I'm sure there's a new entry in the franchise coming. Who knows?
Are you sure it's Capcom? Is it Capcom that does this?
I would say so.
Because I mean, the same person who made this game, they made Evil Within.
Yep.
And so you think, oh well, we're going to get into that later on anyway. But next news topic, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, a sequel image was released online. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
Really?
Just an image of the title.
Okay.
Was released, and this has led to speculation that there is a sequel coming. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think that a sequel should come out anytime soon, just because the Dragon Ball Super anime is sort of just kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
If they've just finished the Battle of Gods and Resurrection of Frieza saga, they've just got into the actual new saga where they're introducing all these new characters. I think they should hold off for a bit until all these new characters are well established in the anime, so it can lead to better sales. More people would want to buy this game.
You're thinking that Xenoverse 2 would be based on these Super episodes? The Super
Definitely,
franchise?
because Xenoverse was, it had everything all through Dragon Ball Z was based in.
Mm.
It had a bit of Battle of Gods as well, with Beerus in there as well, and there was some DLC that added Resurrection of Frieza. If for a sequel to even exist, it would need new content, and that new content is coming from Dragon Ball Super. So unless the Xenoverse team has been told what's going to be happening for the rest of this Super Series, then yeah, make a game out of it. But you can't just make Xenoverse 2 with sort of the same kind of content from Xenoverse 1 and add just one new saga in there.
I think they would have been told if a sequel is definitely in the works, whether this image is true or false or not. I think that the development team would have definitely been told what's to be coming in the later episodes to to even work on the new characters, the new plot points, even no matter how far away the game may be. They've got to have some inside knowledge of what they should be working on.
Yeah, they would be in partnerships. I just don't want it to be released too soon, and then they release 5 DLC packs because the anime is still sort of rolling out new characters, new sagas. I sort of want them to hang off a bit, a couple more years at least, or a year away, so they've got a lot of content to work with.
Okay,
that's what I would want. But it is only sort of just an image so far, so there's no announcement of the game. So it could well be a fake image, or it could could be a couple of years off. We don't know, but yeah, that's what I would want if they were going to release Xenoverse 2.
Yeah.
So 26th of February, yesterday, was actually the 5th anniversary, the 5th birthday of the Nintendo 3DS. Did you know that?
No, yeah. I didn't.
So 5 years it's been around. It's quite a long time for a handheld console. Yeah. I mean, I'm not too sure on the longevity of the Nintendo DS or the others like that, but I think 5 years is quite a long time. That's including the year that new Nintendo 3DS was released as well.
Okay.
But I mean, how I feel about the 3DS. It is my number one favorite console of all time.
Yeah.
Nostalgia aside, I would put it past Nintendo 64 and the original Xbox. It's just...
Is it because of the games on it, or is it just the device itself?
It's both. Yeah. I love the device itself just because it is a handheld. You can take it anywhere. And having the games list is just incredible.
Yeah.
This is the one console that I've got sort of every single game on it that I've got. I love. And this is one console that I know 10 years from now, I will be thinking the same about this console that I do for Nintendo 64. This is just going to be a nostalgia-driven console. I'll turn these games on in 10 years from now and just relive those memories.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'll start a new podcast just for the 3DS in 10 years.
Well, I mean, one thing that 3DS has that the original DS doesn't is the access to Virtual Console. So 3DS in itself is also a Game Boy. Yeah. Is also a Super Nintendo, I think. Mm-hmm. However many different consoles games you can fit into the Virtual Console as well. And I don't know. It just, for me too. It's definitely my favorite. It's definitely my favorite handheld ever, as well, because of the games list and the way it can tap into some older games as well, which no Nintendo handheld console has ever done before.
You got a Nintendo DS. I got a Nintendo DS, but you were much more into it than I was. You got a lot of games. You put a lot of hours into it. I only got one game, which was Pokemon Diamond. And I played some of your games, but I just really wasn't into it. And the number one reason for that was because it had no joystick.
Yeah.
It's so sort of... It made it... especially playing Super Mario 64, just with the D-pad.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I was so excited when sort of you got Super Mario 64, so I thought I'd give it a go. But 5 minutes into it, with the D-pad, I couldn't do it.
I mean, I think I was desensitized to that because of how much Game Boy SP I had already played.
Yeah.
I was just already used to it. And I played Game Boy SP so much that my left thumb, I could do that thing where it would just unhinge itself and I could bend it all the way back so that it would touch my forearm. Because whenever I was playing it, it was just cracking all the time.
Yeah.
and then it just cracked. So I could just I've lost that ability now, but back then I was
Game fingers.
yeah. But yeah, thanks for joystick. I no longer have that problem.
Well, the one thing I could say that is missing from the Nintendo 3DS is the lack of Nintendo 64 content. There is a few, you know, I want Nintendo 64 games, and I don't think it would be too hard to put 64 games onto the 3DS as just ports for the Virtual Console. I don't think it would be difficult at all.
No, I mean they've put like 3 games that I can just think of at the top of my head just doing that as a remake. You know, Star Fox,
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask.
Yeah. But I'm not even after remakes. I'm just after straight ports. I'd play them.
Yeah.
Put the original 3 Mario parties on the 3DS, and I'd play them.
Let's go. We're talking about Nintendo here. You're asking too much.
Yeah, well, they need to do it. Then the NX needs to bring back a lot of Nintendo 64 because Wii U, I mean, they have released over the last couple of years some Nintendo 64 straight ports, but it's not enough.
No, it's not enough. No. Actually, just on that, just recently, because when you're on the Wii U, you can also revert back to the Wii's operating system and then go through the Wii eShop as well, rather than the Wii U eShop. And they're 2 different separate entities and have 2 different catalogs as well. For example,
So if you do buy a game on the Wii, you have to buy it again on the Wii U.
no, you just revert back to its. You just open its operating system while on the Wii U.
Oh, okay.
It's all there. You just have to switch back and forth.
Mm.
So one of those games I bought is through the Wii part of the Wii U was F-Zero X.
Yep.
Bought
Yep,
that,
I
and
was
then just recently I bought from the original Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was playing with a friend, and yeah, that was really awesome. And
Did you play the Pokemon course? What's is it Saffron?
Saffron City? Yeah,
Best course. They needed. I wish they brought that into the new Super Smash Bros.
yeah. But yeah, it was just weird. I think hoping this is a new topic on itself, but this new Nintendo account, or whatever they've named it,
Yeah.
that spans your whole Nintendo, all your
Database.
database consoles. Hopefully that fixes the error of only having certain virtual console games on certain consoles.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
Here's hoping. Next piece of news that I wanted to bring up was Monster Hunter Stories. This is a game that's, I don't think it's released in Japan yet, but it's coming real soon. I read that if it was to be released in Australia or America, it will be at least another 2 years, just to see whether it would sell or not. This is the same thing they did with Yokai Watch, same thing they did with Pokemon. I mean, Pokemon, when it came over here, it was huge, it worked. Yokai Watch was huge, just like Pokemon in Japan. It didn't take off as much here in Australia, and I guess that's the kind of thing they're looking out for. So, because you've played a lot of Monster Hunter.
I mean, a little. In the grand scope of things, no. I've barely touched Monster Hunter, but I've played with experts, and yeah, it's a big deal to some people, and to have a Monster Hunter game withdrawn from them, so to speak, is it's kind of heartbreaking.
To the people who do play it, it is huge to them.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like a full-time job, you could say, and
if you have that game, that's your only game.
pretty much. Like some of the friends I played with, are at least 300 to 400 hours deep into it, you know, and barely scratching the surface. There's more content left in that game, because of content drops still occur in it, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing.
So Monster Hunter Stories, it's completely different to those main series games that you know. It's gone a lot more colourful. It looks like Pokemon graphics. It's like an RPG where you don't go out and kill and hunt monsters. This is where you sort of tame and you have your own monsters, kind of like the How to Train Your Dragon, you know, movie. It's going to cater for the kids. It's going to cater for the adults who are already into Monster Hunter. So it's going to be huge if it does come here, I reckon.
You're excited for this because Monster Hunter doesn't look like your thing. You said,
Yeah.
whereas this does.
This does.
Yeah.
This is up my alley.
Why is that?
I just love looking at those kind of graphics and just playing those kind of games. Monster Hunter to me would be just like you were saying. It's just like a full-time thing. It's too much. I mean, I don't mind playing those games. Like, I'm excited for Dragon Quest to play a huge 200-hour campaign kind of thing. But I'd be happy to get into that. But I don't want it to be too serious. I just want it to be sort of very, I don't know. It's a lot more fun when you're playing something sort of.
You can see an end in sight.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun when you're playing something sort of meant for children, but it's got that. Oh. It's like Pokemon. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just I don't think I'd be able to sit there for 200 hours and play those Monster Hunter Cross games. I don't think Monster Hunter Ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I mean, I've given Monster Hunter a try myself. I can always pick it back up because I've got these friends who do play it, so I've always got that opportunity. But again, I just don't see it for me. So maybe this is my re-entry into the series, and playing this, maybe my kind of gateway into getting into the main series Monster Hunter. I don't know. Maybe I need to fall in love with the world before picking it back up.
Well, I mean, we just said that this is 3DS's 5th year. If Monster Hunter Stories is going to wait and come out 2 years from now, I mean, NX will probably be out by then with the new handheld. I mean, it'll probably still come out for 3DS, but by then I don't think many people are going to be too interested in getting it.
You still think the 3DS will survive along with the NX?
I mean, we don't know what the NX is. If the NX does have its own handheld with it, then it'll completely take over.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the 3DS does have a full-on lineup for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about 2017. But most of the games coming out here in 2016 have already been out in Japan. So I don't think Japan has much of a lineup for 3DS. It's mainly just us because we're waiting for localization.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we did have a Pokemon Direct this morning at 2 a.m. When do you think we're going to have a Direct on Zelda or NX? Because both of those things are the two biggest things in Nintendo right now, Legend of Zelda and NX. And both of those things have been announced that we're going to find out more about them this year. So when do you think the timeline is going to be for them?
March.
March, for which one?
For both.
I think Zelda's going to be sooner than NX. We'll find out more about Zelda soon.
Yeah.
Because we don't know anything about Zelda.
We don't know anything about the NX either. And if Nintendo are so committed to having these things out in 2016, they need to start talking about at least something.
They need to start building hype.
Yeah. The hype's there. People just need to be confirmed about a few things.
Yeah.
People just need to...
People are so... Everybody is just so unsure that...
Yeah.
All of last year was all speculation. Will it be released this year? Just give us a time frame so we can get excited for it.
Yeah.
Just tell us it's 2016. You don't have to tell us which month or anything. Just tell us both of them 2016. Well, Zelda's already been said for 2016, but everyone's still unsure about that. Everyone's talking about delays for that.
But I think with the NX, do what follow in Sony's shoes. And when Sony was getting ready to unveil the PS4, they had a separate press event to reveal the PS4, reveal it, a release window, some specs, the controller, show off some games, and that was it. And they gave a release window along with that too, and I think that was really clever. And they did that several months before E3, where then E3 was a kind of a bigger showing of the console. So I think Nintendo can learn a lot from that, and just give us something else to hold on to before, I guess maybe E3 will be the bigger reveal.
I mean, it's just strange how we found out about the NX. It was just some guy getting interviewed. It was just an off comment saying that, yeah, we're working on a new console.
Is that how it is? I kind of remember.
I mean, originally that's how it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, was he even supposed to say anything? That's how everybody has been talking about this. I mean, then there's been sort of investigations about what's been going on after that, only because of that comment. And so that's how people have found out even more rumours and things that are going on. So because people are looking closely now at what they're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not even too sure. I'm not even too convinced that they were supposed to say that too early. I mean,
Right.
because that was around the time when they announced that they were doing mobile games, and everyone was sort of thinking, oh, Nintendo's just going to mobile now. They're sort of crashing. So I think maybe they said that just to confirm that, just to keep everyone on board. We are still in the console business. We are going to release a new console.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're saying that, then that's kind of like Sony and Microsoft saying, "Hey, the new thing's coming out." If they announce that now, whereas we know we're only 3 years into their console cycle, and
Yeah.
if they start building speculation hype on their new console now, it's just it really neglects the thing that they have going now, which is what Nintendo has been doing.
Well, I'm excited for E3. I don't think I've been this excited for a Nintendo Direct at E3.
They've got a lot building to it. As we said with Zelda and NX, something has to be said about both those things before E3 for sure.
I mean, I do hope that when E3 does come along, if they do a whole announcement of the NX, some launch games, I do hope they still give us some announcements for the 3DS. I hope that's not all just gone. I still want them to pay some attention to it, and even some Wii U games that are coming out. Just still talk about that, just a little, because it will be all about NX if it is going to be announced at E3.
Yeah, that'll be the headliner kind of thing, and then the other stuff will kind of fall to the bottom.
Yeah,
which obviously won't get as much press hype as the NX would.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't. It's Nintendo. They're not regularly known to sweep their older consoles under the rug so quickly before the new things even out, so who knows.
We've got one last news topic, and that is the Pokemon announcement of Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. It was only a couple of days ago that we found out that there was going to be a Pokemon Direct, and as soon as they announced a Pokemon Direct, there was so much rumours and speculation going on as to what it was going to be. The first rumour I heard was that they were going to release Pokemon Rainbow. Did you hear this one?
No, I didn't.
No, that's the first one I heard, Pokemon Rainbow, because the person who sort of started the rumour found a Japanese something online for the Japanese Pokemon company, and it had the word Niji in it, and that was rainbow. So it's pretty unclear from what I'm saying right now, but that's how the sort of rumor started, from rainbow. But then I saw all the sort of images for Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. There was all those rumors, and straight away I thought it was all fake. Until it was getting, I didn't think it was real at all. I mean, until it was getting closer and closer to that time of the Pokemon Direct, and then it was starting to come out that, this was getting more.
Yeah, I as soon as I saw Pokemon Sun and Moon, I was 100% confirmed that was it, because those logos looked.
The logos looked good, but I've been fooled before, and I didn't know.
I know, but just Sun and Moon made so much sense in the wide Pokemon spectrum. Where else? That was the logical sense to go for the franchise, I guess.
But I guess I just wasn't too convinced, because I really thought it was going to be Pokemon Z.
Yeah,
I really thought it was.
Yeah, and
I'm surprised that they're going straight to Gen 7 already.
Well, it's a good way of bait and switch, I guess. Just they were teasing people with Z for so long, and even the anime led us to Z, and then here we go with a brand new gen already.
Well, it's like what we were saying last time. Like Pokemon, they just like to surprise you.
Yeah.
Everyone was expecting Z, I guess, and they just no. This is the first time that a game series hasn't had one of those third main entries.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, I was incredibly disappointed to see the things leaked out 24 hours before the Direct went live, because all my excitement just went away just like that by reading an article.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works these days.
Mm-hmm.
It's no fun. People
just keep away from the
people
internet.
just spoil the fun, don't
and
they?
You couldn't get away from it if you wanted to sign on and just type in saying Pokemon Direct because you wanted to watch it. It'll come up on the Google pages all about Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
You couldn't get away from it.
Even if you missed it all, trying to catch up the next day.
Yeah.
Just as you said, searching it, you'd spoil story straight away. And
disappointing. What you need to do is avoid the whole thing. Wake up the next day, get someone to type it in for you, and bring up the video. Then you can watch the video. That's the only way.
Isn't it so sad that it's come to that though? But Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, but like all Pokemon and Nintendo Directs, they're really wrapped up nicely in a nice, concise video. As we said, it's only 6 minutes. They spent about maybe 2.5 of those minutes talking about Pokemon Sun and Moon. The other half,
And there was about 2.5 minutes on celebrating Pokemon's 20th anniversary.
yeah, and I actually kind of like that. It was put together through these nice little montages of people, actors kind of enjoying Pokemon and all around the world in all different languages and stuff through all the different generations of Pokemon, and it was really cut together really nicely. And I don't know, it was a good way of celebrating it and leading up to the future of Pokemon as well.
It was a good video. It
Yeah,
was a good. I love how they do directs.
yeah,
I love it,
yeah,
especially how they do them sort of throughout the year. They don't just wait till E3; they do it throughout the year.
Yeah.
It's just something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever they announce a direct, I'm just immediately excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing they made kind of a big deal, which kind of blew past me. I'm not sure if it's a big deal to others, that Pokemon Sun and Moon now supports 2 new languages.
Oh yeah, the
The
Chinese,
the
simple
2
traditional,
version of Chinese. So I guess that's a good thing.
I didn't know that when Chinese weren't supported
Yeah,
in Pokemon.
I don't
I
know.
thought by now they would have been.
Yeah, I thought China would be a big market for it.
Yeah.
But another thing is that Pokemon Yellow, Blue, and Red,
yeah.
the re-releases that also appeared today, will be working with Pokemon Bank, and that will communicate with Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Which I'm stoked about.
Yeah, but it would be interesting how they pull it off, because in the first generation, Pokemon don't have abilities or stat or nature or even special attack and special defense aren't 2 separate things. They're just special.
Well, the way I thought it was going to work is as soon as you trade it into the newer games, it'll just sort of randomize it,
But
come up with something.
but I mean, the people who really take Pokemon seriously,
Yeah, exactly.
competitive,
Yeah,
that's going to drive them crazy.
yeah,
Because they spend hours just farming for the right Pokemon.
yeah.
And to just sure, that's based on randomness as well, but this process will take even longer if they were to go from to transfer to Pokemon rather than just finding them in the wild.
I think you can get most of Gen 1 Pokemon from the X and Y series, though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can get them close to nearly all of them.
Okay. Yeah.
But it does, it's a lot easier if you just do get them from the Gen 1 games.
Yeah. But overall, just all good news. Like, I've seen no negative reports on it.
Yeah. I'm so excited for Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
I think this will be the first time that I actually go pick up both games.
Yeah.
I think so.
Which one are you kind of leaning to, though? There's always one that you kind of lean to a bit more.
Yeah, well, we always try to get the opposite games.
Yeah.
So we could sort of, trade, because there's different Pokemon in each game. But every single time you've gone for the more red one, and I've got the more bluish one.
Yeah.
You got Y,
Yeah.
I got X. You got Omega Ruby, I got Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah.
Are you going to get Sun and I'll get Moon?
I was leaning towards Sun, to be honest.
So,
Yeah.
I'm always leaning towards the other one, but you always end up getting it first, so I have to get the other one.
Oh, really?
But I think this time I'm going to get them both.
Okay.
I do want to get them both because I'm hyped.
Yeah, that's cool. And I was also pleasantly surprised in the kind of way that I was about Star Wars when they showed Star Wars trailers. They showed the right amount of content for what was there, about the new games. There were just, as we were saying at the start of the episode, just little artist sketches on the walls and little hints at new Pokemon and new Pokemon centers. I think that was the right amount for what was shown at the moment.
Yeah.
Give it E3.
Yeah.
There'll be a whole lot.
Yeah.
And we can
Give it its moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think now was just the right time to celebrate Pokemon
Yeah.
to the 20 years. Give Pokemon Yellow, Red, and Blue its time.
Yeah.
Just announce it in an E3. Then it will be its big
There was a
show.
lot of talk of, we've got a lot of Pokemon games coming out, but nothing huge to celebrate Pokemon's 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. There's nothing can be bigger than this.
Yeah.
That is coming out.
Yeah.
Unless it's a remake of Pokemon Snap, but
Oh.
or just Pokemon Snap on port to come to 3DS. Just give us that, please. So that's it for the news. We're going to move straight into the Would You Rather game. Jake, It's your turn to ask me the questions this week.
Yeah.
So Are you just bringing them up now?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I won't look.
So yeah, we got them on the computer that we're also recording on. So these were incredibly last minute, but I hope they're okay.
Okay.
Would you rather betas or demos?
This is a very broad question.
Yeah.
Would I rather betas or demos? I would rather demos.
Good, me too.
I mean, this is sort of just based off the 3DS because that's the only time I played demos.
Yeah.
It's just so good. I love having those free demos on the 3DS just to try out the game.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've said before how I've gone and bought games, full price games, and just didn't like it. Luckily, there's an opportunity to take it back, but there's a lot of times where I've downloaded demos like the Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. I've downloaded that demo, knew I didn't like it, so wasn't going to buy it. I was convinced I was going to buy that, but just from playing the demo, I knew, no, it's not for me. So yeah, definitely demos.
I mean, you could have the same argument for betas as well. People treat that as a demo, I suppose, as well.
Yeah,
because that's a good slice of a game as well.
Betas, I mean, they're not finished, are they?
No, not really. It's kind of like in the same way of a demo. You kind of get 2 missions or something.
Yeah.
You know, and everything could be really rough. You could have server problems. You could have technical problems. Whereas a demo, it's succinct. It's there.
Yeah.
It's full.
I mean, look at the demo for Bravely Second. How you said it was like a 10-hour thing.
Yeah.
And then when you get the game, that 10 hours transfers over. I mean, I hope that demos start to turn into that kind of thing. You know, if it is a long game like Bravely Second, if it is like, you know, up there with the 80 to 100-hour games, you make the demo longer, just like that.
And that's good because that goes against what betas do. I know specifically for the Division beta, Tom Clancy's Division, all the progress you put, because that's kind of a game in the similar lieu of Destiny, MMO, RPG, shooter kind of thing. And all the hours you put into leveling up your character in the beta has nothing to do with the full game. So, what a waste, I think.
Yeah.
Betas are for the benefit of the developers.
Yeah.
I don't think they're benefiting
the
player at all.
Just to test it out and see a quick scope of what the people think of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, good stuff. Okay. Would you rather a new series, a new entry for a Dragon Ball Z fighting game or an RPG Dragon Ball Z game?
Definitely RPG.
Yeah.
The only reason I get the Dragon Ball Z fighting games is because I like Dragon Ball Z. I don't necessarily like fighting games at all. It's just I really want a new style of Legacy of Goku. I mean, bring that out on the 3DS.
They kind of reinvented it with Attack of the Saiyans.
Yeah, I never played that.
No.
So.
That was a good re-entry, but they just never continued with that. But there's also that Dragon Ball game on the 3DS that got announced in January or something.
The fighting one.
Fusion or something. It's based around not the one, not
that one.
Budokai or whatever.
Yeah.
This one's based around Fusion, and it's only.
I have heard of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you can fuse anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the moment, that kind of is leaning towards more of an RPG style. Yeah. I suppose. But I know what you mean. The RPGs are way better.
Yeah, a lot better.
Cool. Would you rather the new? We kind of touched this on the last episode. Would you rather the new Hitman be episodic or just a regular full release game?
Yeah, I'd definitely rather full release game, but I was having to think about it. An episodic, it does make sense because, I mean, you can. It would be good if it was the full release game. It would be released at the end of the year, no matter what. Mm-hmm. This way, you get to play it early, even if it is just one mission. You get to download it and play it early, rather than you can play it next month rather than waiting until the end of the year. So that's how it's good in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that they've finished the game now?
No.
So you think that they've finished the first mission that's going to be released
or
next
at least
month?
even the second?
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
But they definitely haven't done the other missions.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So they no matter what, they would release the whole game at the end of the year. This way, you get to play it early. So, I mean, to answer the question, I'd rather a full release. I wouldn't mind waiting, but
I mean, the only kind of episodic gaming I've gone into is the Telltale series games. more specifically the Tales from the Borderlands, and their episodes work is because it's treated like pretty much like a TV series, because it's like a fully story driven game with like few quick time events, and you choose the dialogue options, and because each episode ends on a cliffhanger, you're compelled to go back to the next episode, much like a TV series. So it'll be interesting how Hitman kind of makes you want to get back into each episode. You know,
Yeah.
if the story is compelling enough to reel you back in each time, or just even as I know the Hitman mechanics are super solid, so just Hitman fans will just always come back for some more.
Well, I've never played anything that's episodic, but if it's anything like sort of watching a TV show and there's sort of a kind of a climax at the end, and you're like, I want to watch the next one.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting how they treat it, because I think the first episode drops next month. I think March sometime.
I think even though it will be more expensive, I think I will just get the first episode just to try it out, and then I'll wait for the full release.
Yeah. This one's pretty current. Would you rather Nintendo focus on one franchise's anniversary, or multiple in the 1 year? So far we're going through Zelda's anniversary, Pokemon, and Earthbound's also having an anniversary this year as well.
I mean, Pokemon's just taken over everything right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe... Well, Pokemon is their biggest thing, isn't it? I mean, it is bigger than Zelda. In my opinion, it's bigger than Zelda.
I guess so, yeah. It sells better, so...
It is like the most top-selling game on Nintendo.
Yeah.
On all the time. So, I think because they've got 3, I think it'd be a bit too much. I think what they're doing right now is good.
Okay.
I mean, because I wasn't even too aware. I didn't even know it was Earthbound's anniversary. What is that? Is that 20 years as well? Or?
I think it'll be 20 years, yeah.
So I didn't even know that. Zelda, I wasn't even too aware of either, just because they haven't really said anything about it.
No. I mean, Zelda content has been kind of steady this year, with the Twilight Princess and the new big entry again at the end of the year. But
they've got Hyrule Warriors Legends coming out.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're not doing what they're doing for Pokemon.
No.
What they're doing for Pokemon is just massive.
But then maybe they need to treat Zelda and Earthbound a bit better then.
I mean, maybe they're focusing on Pokemon for the first half of the year because Pokemon's anniversary is today. It's February, it's early on in the year. They've announced everything they're going to do for Pokemon this year, which is the new game and all the other things. And maybe later on down the track, when they announce Zelda, they'll focus on Zelda at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Zelda can be the back half of 2016. They'll do something huge for that then.
Yeah. Well, just quickly focusing on Earthbound, the infamous kind of Mother 3, which is this follow-up sequel to Earthbound, has never been released outside of Japan because it's never been translated. But rumor circles have been going around saying that because it's his anniversary this year, it would land on the Virtual Console sometime this year for the very first time.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, when was Earthbound localized?
I mean...
Because Earthbound Beginnings was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think Earthbound just maybe a couple years after the Japanese release. I'm not too sure on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they're going to release it, this year's the year then.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, do you think they release Earthbound Beginnings just to see how much hype there is still for Earthbound?
Maybe. I'm a big fan of Earthbound. I've never played Earthbound Beginnings.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult to go back in step.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that Earthbound Beginnings is a pretty rough game compared to Earthbound.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What I've seen of Mother 3, it just looks awesome. And I've heard the story to it is also incredible. So, yeah. And Ness is my most favoured Nintendo character. So
the only modern Ness we get a glimpse of is in Smash Bros, isn't it?
Yeah. Moving on. Also, this is hang on. 1, 2, 3. No, this is the last one. Okay. This is pretty current, is what relevant. Would you rather Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon harken back to Nintendo's roots, or would you rather have a massive overhaul?
I think overhaul, as in just a whole bunch of new things put into the game to make it like really different.
Yeah.
I think I want that.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I'm ready for that. I mean, how many Pokemon games are there now? So many.
Yeah.
I'm keen for something new.
I mean, that transition from top-down view to kind of side-on, I suppose, in X and Y was... Did you have to get used to that?
Oh, yeah, and I'm still not used to the sort of the big city in the middle of the map in X and Y. I don't like that at all. Especially how you just sort of go a quarter way down the road and you sort of have to transition to a new map and it's confusing. I don't know my way around. It's just hard to get used to. Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby were a lot better just because they're remakes of old games. The map was a lot different. But I hope that with Sun and Moon, they're not sort of... I mean, because I said it might be a tropical island, X and Y was very city-based.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't like about that map. It was very city-based. And, hopefully, in the sense of getting more simple, I hope the map is more simple.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think they need to change things up a bit, whether it be graphically or with mechanics.
Yeah, it feels like the hype is right for a change. You know, it's been pretty much the longest time between releases as well. Am I right on that?
Yeah, well, 3 years for a main series release. There's 2 years between the remake, but yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, so it kind of feels like they're cooking up something pretty big underneath.
By the time it does get released, the Pokemon X, Y, and Z anime will be pretty much over as well, and then they'll start the new anime, the new generation of anime as well. So that's pretty exciting.
Cool. Yeah. So that's it for my questions.
Okay. Nice. Would you rather questions? Next week it's my turn.
Yeah.
So I better start preparing.
They're pretty impromptu as well. So I hope they're
yeah. I've got a new segment this week. This segment is called Franchise Wars. Now, I wanted to add this segment in just because I love me a good sequel. Okay. I love a good franchise.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes a bit too obsessed with collecting franchises, even if the sequels aren't very good. I just like to have the collection of franchise. Just like the Assassin's Creed games. You know, I liked all of them except for number 3, but I did keep number 3 for a while. Ended up trading it in, but yeah, I do like franchises, and that's why I just wanted to talk about them. So the rule with this one is we pick one game for each show, which we already know the game. We discussed it before. We decide whether we want to see it turn into a franchise, or if it already is a franchise, do we want to see it renewed or just can it, get rid of it? So the game we've chosen for this segment is The Evil Within. So this is currently not a franchise, but I feel like, because it is the person who made the Resident Evil series, I feel like it will turn into a franchise because of how many Resident Evil games there are. And it was quite popular, Evil Within. In Australia, we have this thing every Halloween called Fright Night, and there's mazes set up, and for 2 years in a row now there's been an Evil Within maze, and in this maze sort of you go in and you know it's just all set up like the Evil Within interiors, and they do all these scares and everything. It's really good, but the first year when it was done was the release of Evil Within, so it was really popular then. Last year it was done again, and you know
it seemed a bit out of place.
It was out of place because Evil Within was kind of a year old.
Yeah.
No one was really talking about it, but it was huge again. It was a really popular maze. So I was actually happy, to see it there, so people are reminded of the Evil Within, because I bought it and I loved the game. You haven't played it though?
No.
You've seen me play it, and
I'm generally terrified of it. Yes.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't think it was too scary. I've played some scary games, and this one wasn't too bad. There's a lot of there's a few moments in there where you sort of it's not really jump scary. They're just sometimes when you don't know what's around the corner, you're just very sort of nervous. It's nervous scary.
Okay.
But there's There's quite a bit of action in the game as well. There are a few levels where it's just pretty much just shooting, which isn't really scary. It's just action. But in terms of whether I'd want to see it turn into a franchise, I think I'd like to see another Evil Within game. I don't think I'd like to see it turn into something like a Resident Evil, where there's, how many Resident Evils are there now?
Yeah, I mean, it's coming to its 7th main series,
Yeah.
but there are a bunch of spin-offs.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't want it to see it turn into that, where there are all these spin-offs.
Yeah.
If it is going to turn into a franchise, I'd like to see maybe a 2 and 3, but that'd be it.
Yeah. Just what I've seen from the Evil Within, it feels like they it was good. It was a good new IP, which is rare these days. A new IP, so it was good in that aspect. I feel like they've got the core mechanics down right.
The gameplay is fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah,
yeah. They just everything just needs to be built upon. Just like taking it back to Assassin's Creed again. The first one laid down all the mechanics.
Yeah.
Number 2 just refined everything and made it the success of the franchise that it is now. And as you said, not be turned into something like the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Yeah.
Just have its sequel be an Assassin's Creed 2 kind of thing.
Definitely not an annualized thing.
No.
I mean, if there is a sequel, give it maybe another year or so, bring it out. There was a lot of, the main thing that people liked about this game was the gameplay. It was nice. It was good to play. Everything worked. It was addictive at some times. There was complaints about the graphics.
Well, actually, something is saying that. I'm not sure if you noticed this when you played it, but the game was cropped in letterbox the whole time.
The big black bars top and bottom.
Yeah.
They did bring out an update which fixed it. You don't have that anymore.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, when it first came out, that's when I played all of it. It had the black bars, which it didn't really bother me.
Yeah.
I mean, at the start I noticed it. It was a bit weird, but after you got an hour into it, you just didn't even notice it anymore. But it did sort of. Sometimes it was annoying when you're sort of trying to look around, and it is a game where you need to sort of look around corners and look where everything is properly, and sometimes those black bars got in the way, so that was where it was kind of annoying. But there was talk of they put those black bars in just because there were things in there that they didn't want them to see. The game wasn't really finished, or the graphics were so bad that they just had to cover some of it up.
Yeah.
But, I didn't really have a problem with the graphics. They weren't sort of next gen kind of graphics.
Yeah.
I think they were kind of late PS3, Xbox 360 graphics.
Well, that was it. Remember, the game was made for newer and older generations
Yeah.
of consoles, so they still had to make a game that could work on both systems. So sure, the game could have looked great on Xbox One, PS4, but it would have ran like it probably wouldn't have been made then for 360, PS3.
Yeah.
So
another thing was the characters in the game were a bit boring.
Yeah.
If they were going to make a sequel, I'd hope to see new characters.
Well, because it's made by the same guy as Resident Evil, that's a trademark of the Resident Evil franchise. Those characters are they're cardboard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they need to work on those characters a bit more.
Yeah. Well, I've also heard too that the story's a bit up in the air. It's all a bit supernatural. It's all a bit. I don't know if you made sense of the story.
Yeah, it's got a bit of everything in it.
Yeah.
It's not just a sort of a zombie game. It's not just a ghost game. It's got everything in it and it's kind of a bit weird. There's sort of like these trademark bosses that you sort of the big box head, and then there's also this guy who sort of appears every now and if you see him, you have to run. You can't sort of kill him. You'll just die. And there is a level in there where you go back to that mansion from Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil mansion. I think it's level 10. And in this mansion, you spend the first 20 minutes just exploring the mansion. But this guy will come up 3 times in the mansion. This is probably the scariest mission, because whichever room you go into, you don't know if he's going to appear in this room. You can go into a room, explore a bit. He might not be in that room, so you come back out. You go into another room. He could be in this room. It's randomized every time you go into the game. So you go into a room trying to explore. You could turn around. He's right there. Yeah. So you got to plan your entries and plan your exits, because if he's there, you need to somehow get out and run. The only way to survive is if you run and you can't stop. If you sort of run into a wall or something, you're pretty much going to die. You need a good exit strategy, and just run. So that's probably the scariest part of the game.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was good to return to sort of that Resident Evil mansion. I'm glad they had that in there. So
That's funny. I've never seen that or heard about the game. It's funny how they did that.
So, would you want to see a sequel for Evil Within?
I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to play the first game first, but I know it was a pretty beloved first game, so to see it evolve would be definitely a good thing in my eyes. Yeah.
All right. Well, we might just take a little break, and we'll come back and share our topics of the show. Jake, since you started off with your topic last week, I'll share mine first. The topic that I've brought in to discuss this week is what we expect from Assassin's Creed's year off. Now, I've played nearly all the Assassin's Creeds, from number 1 all the way to Black Flag. I had a big break. I didn't play Unity or Syndicate. Although I have heard Syndicate is really good, and I've been tempted to get back to get that and play it. But the reason I took a break was because I was sort of just fatigued from the series.
Yep.
I needed a break, and that's why the series is probably taking a break, because they know people are fatigued. But Unity was a big sort of reason for this year off, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mean, up until Unity, the series was going well. Unity just got a lot of bad criticism.
Which is strange. Again, my personal experience with Assassin's Creed is I played 1 through to, I suppose, Black Flag. 3. I played 1 to 3. I dabbled in 3 and 4. I just, like you, I was fatigued, but just got a little bit more tired of it quicker than you. But Unity looked...
You just got angry when you were playing Assassin's Creed. Just the climbing, and whenever you'd fall, you just got angry.
Especially Brotherhood. Man, that was so annoying. But that all looks like completely revised now anyway. So
yeah.
Maybe it's my time to pick up Syndicate and get back to it. Anyway, but Unity always looked interesting to me because it was Paris. It was the French Revolution.
Yeah.
And I learnt about the French Revolution. We both did in school. We learnt about it. And I was fascinated by that. So to be actually in that world during it, I don't know, it seemed pretty cool to me.
The setting of Unity is a lot more interesting to me than the setting of Syndicate.
Yeah?
I mean, this Syndicate setting just looks boring to me. That's why I haven't gone out and got it straight away.
Okay.
I mean, everyone says it's a really good game, and it might be. Just the setting, though. Just this English place. I mean, I'd much rather be in Paris, climbing those buildings.
Yeah, well, I mean, because England streets they're built further apart. Whereas Paris is really tight together, so you can roof run and whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in Syndicate they helped out by doing like a few zip lines across the town or
Just
whatever.
like a Spider-Man game, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I think you can zip line anything in that game.
Okay.
Just,
So yeah, I get this year off. I mean, they haven't entirely had a year off. They've had those spin-off games with Russia, China, India.
Yeah, the Chronicles games. Yeah.
They look alright. I don't think I'll pick them up myself.
Yeah.
But in terms of the main series, I think a year off is worth it.
I mean, in terms of what I expect from a year off, I want them to... They said they were going to sort of not reinvent the series, but they came out with a comment which I found interesting, was they're not going to keep annualizing the series if they can't sort of come up with anything sort of game changing. So they're not going to come out with one every year. It could be sort of biannually, which a lot of people are talking about. Assassin's Creed is going to come out one year. Watch Dogs will come out the next year. That kind of thing was going on.
Yeah.
Which is also maybe the year off is for a new Watch Dogs to come out. But in terms of what do I expect from a new game, my favourite Assassin's Creed game is Black Flag. I want to see them go back to something like that as in tropical, because I love tropical.
Tropical's been a big theme so far.
Well, I mean, the city kind of thing is just boring to me.
Yeah.
The syndicate setting is boring. Everybody's been asking for a Japan game, Oriental Japan.
That'd be nice.
Give us that.
Yeah.
They've been asking for years for that.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I'll do that.
Yeah. And, it'd tie in well with being an assassin, because there's lots of things about ninjas there,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be good. Because, Black Flag was very pirates-based, and it almost felt like a pirate game. Sometimes you forgot it was an Assassin's Creed game. I mean, that's sort of what I liked about it, because it was getting to the point where I was kind of getting fatigued with Assassin's Creed, but this game it was a lot different to the rest of the games, I thought. And that's what I liked about it. It was different.
Yep.
And so what I expect from a new Assassin's Creed game is for it to be very different again.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, they did... I don't know how true this is now, saying that they've taken a year off, but Egypt was a possible new location.
Heard about that, yeah.
I'm not sure how that will work.
The pyramids.
Yeah.
Viewpoints, all 7 of them.
I don't know. Assassin's Creed has now become this, because it's become annualized, it's become less about the game mechanics and more about where it's set.
Yeah.
And more about that showpiece of how they can build Paris or England in that time, in that specific time frame of where the industrial period or French Revolution, and that's the biggest draw card for most people.
The history, history is the people. Games don't usually come out that are focused on sort of based on history.
No.
So this is sort of a thing where people like, because you get to go to these interesting places back in the past, and there are some true stories, like true characters. Leonardo da Vinci is in there, and it's just with Black Flag. Black Flag is my favorite Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
Next to that is probably Assassin's Creed 2, because after playing Assassin's Creed 1, going to 2, I mean everyone knew the same thing. It's a massive difference. You just knew that they put a lot of work into this.
Well, I mean, look, between Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, they had a year off.
Yeah, it was a year off again. Yeah.
So, I really enjoyed number 1, to be honest.
I did, I enjoyed number 1 as well.
Yeah.
It's very sort of repetitive.
Oh, sure. I mean, they all are, but that was extremely repetitive.
When that game first came out, though, it was a game unlike anything I'd ever played before. It was so different to anything I would have played.
That's what really grabbed me. Again, like the setting of Jerusalem and around that time. It's really incredible. And what really got me is the mystery of it all too, because number 1 also had the modern setting with Desmond and his story. That really drew me in, because I was really compelled to see what his story was too.
Yeah.
The whole mystery of the Animus and wherever he, whatever place he was in.
Yeah, Abstergo.
Abstergo.
Yeah.
That's it. And then it got completely convoluted with the whole Templars, and it just got a bit.
It was
dumb.
just so crazy how you'd be sort of, a bit an assassin in this huge different place, and then you'd get taken straight back out of it, and you're back into this modern area. It was like a dream. You get ripped out of a dream, and you're back in this modern area. And I remember when I was playing Black Flag, Desmond is in this game. You're sort of a first-person kind of person in this office, and there's side missions in the office where you go to the computers and you have to hack all the computers, and you're just thinking, this is not even an Assassin's Creed game. This is so different. Like, there's so many different things in that game that didn't really feel like an Assassin's Creed game. I think that's why it's my favourite one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the new Assassin's Creed that's going to come out in 2017 now, because they're taking this year off. I want them, just to try something really new. I want it to be different than sort of what they've been doing. I mean, I'm really curious to try a Syndicate, just because of the new mechanics. I skipped Unity, and they introduced parkour in Unity, so now they've had a whole new game to sort of figure that out as well. Sort of, parkour. How it's sort of like, how you struggled, you got angry with the whole climbing the building and then trying to get down and everything.
Yeah.
I think there's a button where you can just go right down now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And because that was the first game they tried that with, that's where a lot of the game mechanics stuffed up.
Yeah, right.
So that's why there was a few complaints. Some people had no trouble at all.
Yeah. I mean, Unity also had its big shake-up with its multiplayer. But that was crippled by server issues, and there was also another thing that made it unplayable. But I thought, without playing it, it seemed like getting friends into the Assassin's Creed world seemed like a good idea.
Yeah.
And they didn't bring that back for Syndicate. No, there's no multiplayer in Syndicate, so maybe that's another thing they're going to try and shoehorn. Not shoehorn. They're going to try and bring back into the series as kind of a main, not a main focus, but something to decide where, if servers hold up, it can be still a viable option to play solo or with your friends in Assassin's Creed again.
Another thing that sort of threw me off Unity was it's set in Paris, but they have English accents.
Oh yeah.
It was explained that because you are in the Animus, it was all translated into language that you knew. So it was that's why they had English accents. Because if they said if they put it on French accents, it would kind of be untruthful to the story.
That's dumb, because Assassin's Creed 2 had Italian accents.
Exactly. Brotherhood and Revelations all had sort of Italian accents, and that's what I loved about those games, just those Italian accents.
It's weird. Ubisoft is a French company. They couldn't get any French-speaking people.
I'd be happy with a completely French-speaking game, and I'd have to read subtitles.
Yeah,
I'd be happy with that.
Look at Far Cry Primal that's just come out. That hasn't got a word of English in it. You just have to read everything in that game. I'm not sure how much dialogue is in that game. They all speak caveman talk to each other, and you have to read that game. That's another Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
So,
no, but if I'm playing a game that's set in Paris, you can't just be speaking in English accents. It's ridiculous.
For me personally, what I would want, God, see, I haven't played one for maybe 4 years myself. Yeah, I mean, I'd want to change. I would want another. Each game since Ezio's story had finished, I'd want another 3 trilogy part with another character. Each game they brought in a new assassin. Even number 3 had you playing as 2 characters, which is dumb.
That's the same as Syndicate as well. You play brother and sister, 2 characters.
Yeah. But you're still playing them kind of at the same time.
Yeah,
at least. But have another proper trilogy story with your one character. Ezio's story was incredible, I thought. Yeah. Even how it wrapped up with Revelations.
And how you get to play him as an old man.
Yeah. And
then you got to play Altair as an old man.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. So I think I'd like that again.
Yeah. Just a fully fleshed out story with one main assassin for 3 games.
Yeah.
So I suppose maybe the next game that they do should be Assassin's Creed 5, and then 2 other games after that will be sort of like the Brotherhood and Revelations.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That should be another thing too. Actually put a number on this one.
Yeah, I do think that the 2017 one will be Assassin's Creed 5.
Yeah.
And he's hoping it's Japan. Somewhere different than in Europe. I'm sick of Europe now.
Yeah, they're really focused there, haven't they?
They've done England, they've done France, they've done Italy. They spent a lot of time in. They did the America one.
Even the Chronicle series that we brought up.
Those
things like India. Seems
and China.
Cool. Yeah, Russia.
Yeah,
that seems pretty cool. Like the communist Russia. That seems pretty cool.
Take us to Asia.
Yeah,
do it. Okay, so your topic.
Okay. So this week I came with something. Just are multiplayer focused games or multiplayer only games? Are they a ripoff? We've had a big resurgence of them. Star Wars Battlefront, Titanfall, Plants vs Zombies, games in this area that are completely focused on multiplayer, may not even have a single player involved in it. Are they worth your $80+ just getting a multiplayer experience out of them?
My answer to this is just depends what type of gamer you are.
Yeah.
If you're a gamer who just literally plays online all the time, then you're getting your money's worth. I'm not really a gamer who plays online all the time. So if I was going to pay full price for a multiplayer only game, I'm not, that's probably a rip-off for me. So, but then you can't sort of bring down the price just because of that, because then there are gamers who play online all the time and then they're getting a bargain,
Yeah.
because
They get that.
I mean, the reason they do release these games with a full price is because people do buy them.
I think one example to really focus on is the Call of Duty Black Ops 3, which was released on older generations of consoles too, but they were released without a campaign. Those versions of the game came with zombies and multiplayer only components of the game at a cheaper price, whereas the newer generations came with the campaign, zombies and multiplayer. So that's interesting to look at. I mean, sure, the price was slashed and they couldn't work in the campaign with these older generations, but they still bothered to release it on older generations because there's still a market out there for multiplayer only games. Call of Duty is a juggernaut of the multiplayer franchise. So yeah, for me personally, I kind of like having the best of both worlds. I like my single player games for sure. That's really what I feed off. But when a game like Star Wars Battlefront comes up, or I'm about to start playing Plants vs Zombies soon, I like to put those games on, really just zone out, put some headphones on, listen to some musical podcasts, and just put some hours into that. That's kind of like how I like to multitask in those kinds of games. So I think I think myself, I'm getting my money's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the games that are sort of multiplayer only, like Battlefront, if you are going to get a campaign out of them, it's going to be really short.
Yeah.
But maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all you need, sort of, isn't it? Maybe a 5-6 hour campaign just to give us something else to do rather than play multiplayer. I mean, if they gave us a 5-6 hour campaign of Battlefront with some courses, like courses that are designed from the movies, I mean, that would be huge.
Yeah.
With those graphics as well.
Yeah, those graphics are awesome. I really couldn't contribute to everyone's hatred over the no campaign thing to Battlefront, because the Battlefront series never ever had a campaign. So when they announced that this newest game had no campaign, why were people expecting one?
I think people are just sick of not having a Star Wars campaign anywhere.
Yeah.
They're just sort of crying out for one.
Yeah. Well, Battlefront isn't the way to have it.
Yeah.
You've got your Lego game coming up soon. That's Lego, but now with Disney in charge, it's going to be really. I think you kind of desperate for one now, actually. Anyway, another game to talk about is Titanfall. I sunk a couple tens of hours into the first Titanfall game. I picked it up on special back on 360. I really liked it, but one thing I did think was kind of missing from there was a campaign. A campaign was attached to that game, but it was just like they were just campaign missions dressed in a multiplayer setting. So you were just launched into a.
It was the same thing, just with
just
NPCs.
No. You were versing online.
So it was still online.
They just gave you a little briefing at the start and end of the mission, quote unquote.
I remember watching you do the tutorial for that game.
Yeah.
Was that kind of a long, drawn-out tutorial?
It wasn't short, but that was the first and only pretty much glimpse of that Titanfall universe. That was the only kind of story you got, because I really like that game. I just want to see more of that world. So with Titanfall 2 come out, it's actually have been confirmed that a campaign is attached to the sequel.
And with that campaign, I do think it's going to be really short, like a 5-6 hour thing.
Yeah, as you said, maybe that's all I really.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Yeah. Those kinds of first person shooters aren't the most story driven, or you just kind of sit through. And
people buy it for the multiplayer.
Yeah.
So I mean, Titanfall sold because they wanted to play a good online game from the Xbox One.
Yeah. Yeah, and every now and again, I get an urge to play a good multiplayer only game. Like, I'm not done with Battlefront.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of looking for something new, which is why I'm leaning towards Plants vs Zombies now, which I'm pretty excited for. So, yeah, all in all, I don't think they're a rip-off. Again, you can get into that whole discussion of do price tags, solidify a game's content, which is a whole other topic on its own. But no, I don't think they're a rip-off. Like you said, it's just depending on what kind of gamer you are.
Well, the only sort of game that I really played online was the Halo Master Chief Collection, and it was only until I came over and played some Battlefront with you that I played another online shooter, and it was just so refreshing to play something else that wasn't Halo.
Yeah.
Because Halo, when you're playing online, I mean, you know this, you're holding down the trigger and it takes so long for them to die. But with Battlefront, 3 shots, they're dead. So that's what I loved about Battlefront's gameplay.
Yeah.
And that's what, it was addictive to play that. So, but with Halo, I mean, that started off as a more campaign-driven game. It's slowly turning into a more multiplayer thing, isn't it?
The campaign will always be there. Halo was...
I mean, if they release a Halo game multiplayer only, I mean, that's not going to happen.
I remember,
they can't get away with that.
No way. I remember actually reading something that when Halo 5, post Halo 5 launch, there was a percentage of how many people played the campaign and who didn't. I think it was like 70-30% or something. People who played the campaign.
70% did play the campaign? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and the other 30 just didn't touch it, just went straight to multiplayer. Yeah. That's really good statistics.
Yeah.
Halo has always been known for its campaign.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, this brings us to the last segment of our show, the NOS Shuffle. Now, just for those people who don't know, the NOS Shuffle, NOS stands for nostalgic. This is where we've written a list of all the games that we've played from the 90s and noughties. It's almost 100 games. This is games that we've both played, so we both know a little bit about them. Some I haven't played, but I've seen a lot of what Jake's played and vice versa. But so we're going to pick a game at random. I've got a number generated here, and whatever game comes up, this is a game we'll sort of head down memory lane and have a bit of a talk about. So let's start the shuffle. And the game is Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, what year is this one? This is mid 2000s, isn't it?
Or 2003.
Yeah,
maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah, because I think San Andreas was 2005 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this used to be my favorite, I think.
Yeah, it was all of our favorites.
I mean,
it was because we hadn't played. Was this our first Grand Theft Auto game?
It was, because we got in the pack of number 3.
We got 3 in Vice City, and we played this one first. And well, first of all, the music in this game.
Yeah.
It's set in the 80s, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess what was big to us, because this was sort of our first Grand Theft Auto game, it was also our first real open world game as well.
Yeah.
Like, huge open world game. And it was just crazy to know that you could go, anywhere you wanted. I mean, the map was amazing as well. It wasn't too big like they are now.
Yeah.
So, within like 10, 15 hours, you knew your way around the city. What I remember is always going into the police station, and just killing all the cops, seeing how far you can get. I mean, there was a mission where I think you had to sort of get someone out of the police station as well. Okay. I loved those the police uniforms as well. The
bluish green.
It was like a beigey kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite memory of Vice City was actually always going into the mall and doing massacres in the mall.
Yeah.
It was really good. I actually just kind of watched my favorite streamer do a playthrough of Vice City not long ago. He did it in maybe 3 sittings, 5 hours each or something.
Yeah.
Just doing the main campaign, and all those memories flooding back and just him playing it, me proactively just knowing where to go, without him already getting there, that kind of thing. And just remember the golf course.
Yeah, I did, the golf course.
That was good.
Yeah. That you had a few missions there as well. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the first missions of the game.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to walk in with any weapons. You go through that menu, you lose all your weapons.
Yeah.
And
Did you get to drive the buggy around?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I loved the main character in that game. It's probably one of my favourite main characters in all the Grand Theft Auto games.
Yeah.
I forgot his name, but he always wore the Hawaiian shirt. He had this sort of the slick back black hair.
Yeah.
And he was a good main character. It was straight after that we put on Grand Theft Auto 3 as well. And because there wasn't too much of a time difference between these two games.
No.
Vice City was considered a spin-off in the Grand Theft Auto series. And I think that was just because Grand Theft Auto 3 was just huge. It was like one of the first proper open world games. And I think they just got straight into it, made Vice City.
I love 3 as well.
Yeah.
Me personally, but nothing goes past Vice City because I don't know, because it always had that dynamic day-night cycle. It was just the setting of the always on the beach. It was one of the first games I felt it was so real, you know.
Yeah. Well, back then.
Back then.
And if you look at it now, it's pretty ugly. It's a lot brighter than Grand Theft Auto 3 as well. Grand Theft Auto 3 is very sort of dark and grungy.
Yeah, compare that also to Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yeah.
It's a really dark game.
And that's why number 5 is so refreshing as well, just because of the setting. The setting to me makes a huge difference in a game. Even if Grand Theft Auto 3 may have had I'm not saying it did, but even if it had a better story, better missions, I'd still take Vice City over that just because of it's what you're looking at. It's the visuals. You're going to be staring at it for hours. So I like to look at it knowing that it's nice, bright, just like Monster Hunter Stories.
Tropical. Yeah, it's got a
tropical
vibe.
That's why I'm hyped for Pokemon tropical setting.
I'll keep you to your word on that.
Yeah.
No, Vice City. Yeah, I haven't played it since the original Xbox days. Like I said, I just watched someone play through it recently, but
it has been re-released on iPad, I think.
Yeah?
Pretty sure.
Gosh.
Just like San Andreas was.
I don't know how we'd play on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to try. I remember I did download San Andreas on the computer. That was ridiculous, using sort of the keypad to control your car and everything. It didn't go down well. I'm not a PC gamer, so...
Many people will refute against that comment.
Yeah. Bring it on. Okay, well that brings us to the end of this week's show. We are officially on YouTube now, and we are on iTunes, of course. Our YouTube page is called The Podcast Collective. You can find the 411 Folks podcast on that page. You can also find The Grind, which is Jake's podcast that he does. So you can find both podcasts on that page, Podcast Collective. So you can support us there or support us on iTunes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.